These are 16 habits that I've adopted that have made me healthier and made me more active. Simple things that you can add into your life. Some are diet, some are activity, some are mindset, but collectively they all work. So the first one is more of a nutrition piece, and it might sound odd at first, but that is reducing my random fat intake. Now that might sound crazy, like, wait a minute, I thought fats weren't bad. They're not, but fats are still very caloric, especially when they're getting added into the diet through quite random ways. I'll give you an example. Restaurant food. Like if you were to go and get, let's just say, a bowl of rice, just for the sake of this conversation. It's not like you're getting steamed rice most of the time. If you got rice pilaf or just regular rice at a restaurant, there's a very good chance that they're gonna have a couple tablespoons of oil added into that, which doesn't seem like much, except for when you realize that that's like 250 to 300 calories just in oil, right? Now, that's just an example. Other things that add up, like let's say you go home and you cook some chicken and you put it in the pan and you put a bunch of olive oil in it. Olive oil is amazing for you, so many benefits. But you put 3 tablespoons in and your chicken is drenched in it. Those are just these random fats that add in. So I've become much more particular about the quantity of fats that I add in. And how did this make me healthier or make my life easier? Quite honestly, it's made it so that I just stay lean. Like I don't have to be consistently thinking about reducing calories here or there. It happens very naturally when I control my fat intake. And that means the fats that are added into my diet are very deliberate because I want the deliberate, healthy fats. Trust me, it can be one of the biggest body composition and therefore mental changes that you make. The second one is I started eating more and moving more, but eating more specifically on days that I am fasting. What does that mean? That means on the days that I fast, when I do finally eat, I make a concerted effort to eat more. I was finding that the following days after fasting days, I was a little bit weaker, felt a little bit more brittle, and all it was a simple energy balance equation. So I added more calories in and it made a big difference. But I also found, like I've talked about in other videos, by moving more and eating more, by performing and then recovering, performing and then recovering, everything just fell into place much, much easier. Number 3, I have 30 minutes of playtime every day. Now when I say playing or playtime, I mean active playing. Doing something fun. Maybe it's running sprints with my dog at the park. Maybe it's playing catch with my kids. Maybe it's stand-up paddleboarding. Maybe it's going for a hike. Something that isn't intended to be exercise, but is playing. Maybe it's throwing a football around. Something, whatever works for you as playtime. What this does is this creates this circuit, this loop for you that activity should be fun and fun should be activity. And next thing you know, you've clocked another 6,000 steps just running around at the park and you didn't even realize it. Number 4, saying no. Not just to food, but in general. Saying no more has made a big difference in my available time. Being able to say no to a task that wouldn't be beneficial for me. Saying no to an obligation that I really shouldn't be obligated to have, but I feel like I need to please people. This doesn't mean you go say no to your boss and get fired. It doesn't mean you say no to your wife and get a divorce. It means you are in control and setting boundaries. It's given me more time, but more importantly, mental bandwidth to make better decisions with my health. Number 5, I generally have a 5-ingredient rule. This is kind of funny, but it makes a lot of sense. It doesn't mean that I always abide by it. Trust me, I eat other food too. But generally speaking, if there is a new food that I'm approached with, and I look at the label, and there's more than 5 different ingredients, I generally just put it back. Now, for example, with ingredients, I might rope all nuts together or meats together, right? Like if I were to look at a nut butter and it had Brazil nuts and macadamia nuts and almonds, I don't count that as 3 ingredients, I would count that as 1. What I'm talking about is more so if you go to the store and you pick up a bag of chips and you've got, okay, we've got corn flour, then we've also got potato flour, then we've got sunflower oil, then we've got yeast extract, then we've got monosodium glutamate, then we've got sea salt, then we've got hydrolyzed protein, you get what I'm saying here. It's not about wholesome ingredients, it's about this scatterbrain kind of just montage of ingredients that are in a lot of foods these days. So typically I have that 5-ingredient rule. And I also apply this to my plate too. Like if I have a bunch of different things that I can't pronounce on a plate, that's just not gonna work for me. Now I'm pretty stoked to announce too that for the last couple of years, I have been working with Thrive Market on creating my own product with them. And we decided a couple years back that a good nut butter would be the perfect product to team up on. So my nut butter has officially launched. So there's a couple of different ones. There's a macadamia nut, there's a cinnamon Brazil nut, which is sweet and tastes amazing, that's sweetened with allulose. And there's a chocolate hazelnut flavor, which is amazing. And they're going to abide by my rules too. There's a few different nuts in them, and then there's some allulose, and there's some salt. There's no fillers, there's no weird stuff. And the cool thing is if you get them through Thrive Market using that link down below, you'll save 30% off your entire grocery order, which also includes my nut butters. Plus you get a $60 free gift when you use that link. So you use that link down below, and then you can find the nut butters there on the website, and you can try whatever different flavor you want. I highly recommend you check them out. I created them in tandem with Thrive Market, so what you're getting is literally what I formulated and what I made. So definitely check them out. And if you're already a Thrive Market member, I'll put a link down below in the description that's specifically for a Thrive Market member that goes directly to that page as well. The sixth thing that's changed the game for me a lot, when I look at a food, I ask myself, does this food help me or does it hurt me? I learned this from Dr. Amen, and it was pretty powerful. Whenever I pick up a new food, it's kind of interesting. I just look at it and give myself 3 or 5 seconds to say, does this food help me or does it hurt me? It's that simple. Number 7, this has been an absolute game changer for me. Breath holds and diaphragmatic release. And this happens through different breathing techniques. I realized that a lot of my performance was being held back by improper breathing. Now, before you turn this video off thinking this is cheesy woo-woo stuff, let's make it more mechanical. I carry a fair bit of muscle mass, especially throughout my midsection, my thoracic region, which means that my breathing is actually restricted mechanically. When I started doing more breath holds and expanding my rib cage and actually releasing my diaphragm, physically reaching in and kind of massaging my diaphragm and doing breath work accordingly, the amount that my ribs are more flexible is ridiculous. I can get a bigger breath, but essentially it's made it so that I'm a calmer person, but also when I'm working out, I can recover probably 25% faster because I'm getting more oxygen. So before you rain on it thinking that it's weird, it's pretty darn legit. Number 8 is a simple one that you've probably heard before, but when I'm hungry, I just eat protein. It's been one of the biggest habits that I've adopted, and it's been one of the biggest changes in my life. So rather than grabbing a handful of nuts, I go for some protein. I go for a beef stick, or I go for even a protein shake, or I go for some eggs. I go for something that is focused more so in that protein category. And for a million different reasons that I could list off, and I'm going to spare you the time, it helps me stay satiated, and it definitely helps me out towards my goals. Number 9, I stopped optimizing so much, and I focused on maximizing. And I want you to take this to heart. We live in a world where the optimized bros sort of make us think that we need to optimize every little detail. And trust me, I've optimized a lot of details. But with that sort of optimization experience comes a reality, and I heard Tim Ferriss talk about this recently as well, where now you want to focus on how do I just apply this optimization into maximally living. People say they want to minimize their life and make their life simpler. I think the way that you make your life more simple is by focusing on how you maximize and grow your life to its full potential as far as how you feel. So rather than thinking about every little esoteric thing that I can check a box on, I think about, wow, how can I just move more? How can I love more? How can I enjoy more? How can I smile more? How can I be out in the sun more? Number 10, I do a lot more rucking. And I do it sort of subconsciously now. Like rather than just going for a walk, I'll throw a rucksack on, I'll throw a backpack on with 20 or 30 pounds. Because now I'm building volume. Every single step that I take, I'm working on my leg muscles. I'm actually getting a metabolic effect. Not that I'm not with walking, but it's advancing my walking a little bit. And trust me, I still go for a walk without a rucksack or a backpack on with my family. But whenever I'm thinking about it, I just say, hey, you know what the heck, let's add 30 pounds and make this a little bit more of a challenge. Number 11 is one I've talked about before, having a glass of water before a meal. Trust me, as simple and cheesy as it sounds, If you pound that glass of water before you make a food decision, you'll make a better decision. You say, what if fat loss isn't my goal? What if I don't want to eat less? It's not about that. It's about making the right decisions with your food. If I have that glass of water, maybe I'll opt for the right kind of protein source or the right kind of carbohydrate source or the right fat source that I otherwise wouldn't have because I was just gonna willy-nilly take whatever my brain was craving. Number 12, I get daylight in as much as I can and I treat it as a supplement, meaning this is something that is prescribed for me and I don't care if it's hot, cold, temperate, raining, snowing, I will get outside. Even if I have to bundle up, I will get that fresh air and I will treat it as a dose of what I need for a better life. Number 13, I eat more fruit. This is not a carbohydrate discussion. It's not about that. It's about eating something that's filling, that feels nourishing, that I get from the earth, and that the literature suggests to be very, very good for weight management and overall longevity. It doesn't mean that I'm eating 17 apples per day and 300 grams of carbohydrates from honey. It means I eat more fruit, and I'm more likely to opt for an apple than I am for some peanut butter nowadays. Number 14 is one that I've recently just started adding in, probably in the last 6 weeks or so, but I gotta say it's made a big impact in how I feel. And a lot of it started when I went to an XPT experience. I spoke at Laird Hamilton's XPT, and I really learned that when I'm in the water, it changes my entire state. It forces me to submit a little bit. It forces me to breathe properly before I get in the water. It forces me to relax. And I've learned that I need to be in the water to sort of check myself. As someone that tends to redline myself all the time on land, I can't do that in the water. And I really have been trying, and now I'm gonna start going to the pool more and just doing more of this work, not necessarily for a workout, but more so for my brain and for my breathing. Number 15 are some supplements that I've added in that have made a big change for me. I've added more creatine in. Before I was doing 1 to 2 grams per day. Now I do 3 to 5. It's helped my recovery a ton. Adaptogens, whether it's going to be a little bit of ashwagandha here and there, some chaga, some reishi, whatever. Adaptogens have been a big game changer for my overall recovery and my immune system. And one that I've talked about a lot before, magnesium. This has been, simply put, the most powerful supplemental habit that I've been able to start. I've been able to add 400 or 500 milligrams of magnesium per day, and I'm a more calm, more relaxed, well-rested person. Number 16, I focus more on my performance rather than my body composition, which I've talked about in other videos before, but by doing so, my body composition has improved. But I'm also more active, I'm more agile, I feel better, I'm in less pain, and I'm a happier person. So as always, keep it locked here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.